Hey guys, I'm Dave Trull and welcome to the Trull Gallery. I recently got a call from a realtor who was about to put a house on the market. It was a nice house, but there were a few boards on the back deck that had some rot. I went over, looked at the damage, picked up some materials, and got to work. It's a pretty simple job that most anyone can handle, and I replaced 8 boards in one afternoon. Let's take a look and see how that went.
Once you've determined which board you're going to replace, the first step is to remove all the old fasteners, if you can. This deck was screwed down, so I removed as many of the old screws as I could. Sometimes you can't get them all, but remove as many as you can. Once you've removed what you can pry out the old board. If you've left any fasteners, they may take a little persuasion, but they will let go. Nails can be a bit more difficult, but since the board is being removed, feel free to dig under the nail heads and pry them out. This deck had a railing on one side and some trim pieces on the other, which added a little extra challenge as I was removing the old boards. And apparently I forgot to record wrestling with the stock removal. I was lucky and the board came out in one piece. Since these boards were laid at an angle, I was able to trace the exact size and angle of the piece on my new stock. To match the existing deck, I'm using 5/4 by 6-inch pressure-treated deck boards. I set my miter saw to 45 degrees to cut the end and lined up the blade with my pencil line. Since this saw doesn't have the capacity to cross-cut a 6-inch board at 45 degrees, I flipped the miter angle, turned the board over, and snuck up on the kerf from the first cut. Take some time to get this right and you'll have a smooth face on your board. I cut the other end the same way. Now this particular board butted up against the railing post, so it had a secondary cut on that end. I adjusted my miter saw angle by eye and made that cut as well. In theory, the new board should just drop in place, but that doesn't always work. Sometimes you need a little tweaking or persuasion. In this case, I had to start the end under the railing, then sneak the other end under the trim board, and then tap the railing side in until the board was in place. Since I had 2 new boards next to each other, I also had to trim this one with my block plane. I didn't take off too much, just enough so it would drop into place. As the pressure-treated stock dries out, the boards will shrink, and I didn't want a large space to open up when that happened. Once everything was trimmed, it just dropped right in place. Next, I used a straight edge and laid out the location of the joists. I used the location of the screws on the neighboring boards to line up my straight edge and drew a line, in this case, across both new boards. I used 2 3-inch deck screws on each joist for both boards. These boards are fairly soft, so I didn't bother to pre-drill. Some materials like Ipe do need drilling, but the PT's fine without it. Oh, and just make sure that you sink the head of the screw below the level of the boards. That way you won't catch your foot on them when you're walking across the deck. Okay, here's my disclaimer. I don't like to put finish on pressure-treated materials until they dry. Usually I leave them for 6 months, then I go back and finish them. In this case, the house had gone on the market that day, and they wanted the deck finished now. I can only hope for the best. I had taken a sample of the deck with me to my local paint store, and they color matched some deck paint for me. I started by coating the edges of the boards, and then covered the face. I made sure to get all the screw holes and any crevices that were in the stock. Once the second coat goes on, the new boards will blend nicely with the old ones.
Once I replaced those 8 boards, the deck was looking pretty good. I hope I did my part to help this house sell pretty quickly. As I said, it's a fairly simple job, and with some basic tools, drill, saw, hammer, you could replace the damaged boards on your deck as well. I'd love to hear what you have to say about this project. Is there something I could have done differently or more efficiently? Leave your comments below. I'd love to hear about it. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please give us a thumbs up and share it with your friends. And if you'd like to see what's coming up next, hit that subscribe button and maybe the bell for notifications. But for now, stay safe, have a great day, we'll see you soon. Take care.